Smart 24 TV, we welcome you to The Point. I am Dr. Joseph Tindeba, and we are interested for a discussion in relation with the economic policies of our country. And we will be dealing with the sector of the natural resources, looking at how best they contribute to the economic productivity and growth. Together with us, we are with Honorable Member of Parliament, yes, Lawrence Bika Songa, the MP. We are very happy. That is a great name. I believe your constituency, you are Songa Mbele. You are moving forward. Yeah, so it's a pleasure to welcome you. Please kind of greet the viewers.
Thank you, viewers. My name is Bika Lawrence Songa.
Yes, sir.
Member of Parliament for Ora County in Zombo District in West Nile.
Yes, sir.
And in Parliament, I'm the chairperson of the Climate Change Committee in Parliament.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
You're welcome. This is the first time to host you in The Point.
Yeah.
And we always refer this talk show also as one way to serve the country, because you will do information sharing and we teach.
Yes.
Because being climate change, that deals with the issues of natural resources as well.
Yeah.
And we continue to acknowledge that as you do your registration and policy making generally, to propel our country to develop in that sector where you were, passionately committed to, a lot is supposed to be known to the citizens. One policy analyst or a commentator, he said that you may be having gold, but you don't know how to use the gold and you remain poor.
Yeah.
I'm using that analogy in relation to our country, Uganda. We are having a number of natural resources.
Yeah.
And I bring this as a preamble to us as we'll be discussing a topic of discussion, which is resolving the dilemma of unutilized natural resources in Uganda.
Yeah.
We'll be specific to some areas, especially, we know natural resources is a bit wider, in discussion, but we are also looking at the land policy. What are key land policy and mineral use reforms that leads to welfare generation?
Yeah.
I know this government has every other time talked about wealth. I'm a policy analyst expert.
Yeah.
And one of an interested area that I think this government of the NRM must make sure deliberately they invest a lot is to realize the wealth that is supposed to be generated through natural resources.
Yeah.
As I give my preamble, our dear guest, the Honourable Member of Parliament, it is known to us, and as I bring it to the knowledge of the viewers and ourselves on the table, that before Uganda got independence, 1962, going back to the early 18th and late 18th century, this country was put under colonialism. Of course, we were under the British protectorate. We are remembering of the time of scramble and partition. One of the reasons why Uganda also became a colony, the reason was, number one, also to acquire these raw materials. And they were basically looking at the land, our fertile land, and they were looking at the natural resources. We remember the war which was here in the Congo, basically by these powers, the Western countries, they were saying who will take which gold, who will take this cobalt, who will take all this. And the mine turning Uganda, turning Africa, East Africa, as a source of exploitation, as they exploited our land, acquired, the minerals. Of course, having gold, that was very much important. 1962, all that phase, we come out of it, we go to 1986, and we count the time this government has been in power, the term of office, which is now the period ranging up to around 36 years. The commitment of NRM, as I recall, it remains to have a self-sustaining economy. And the self-sustaining economy means, to me, where we are not a heavily indebted country, and where our poverty levels, as per the World Bank Index or UNDP, should be at a minimal level. we may talk, of course, about poverty reduction, poverty eradication, but at times even in countries like USA, there are some people are still poor, but at a minimum level. And we look at the dilemma of unutilized natural resources. I made a statement when I was starting. I said, you may be having gold, and it is very painful, son, to find that you have gold, but you remain poor.
Underground.
You remain poor, meaning that is underground, meaning it's not utilized. I referred to the National Development Plan 1, 2, 3. We are now in the third one, and we have a number of mineral resources which amounts to 45. Our land, I refer to the research of Towel in 2007, 12 million square miles of Uganda, of land in Uganda is unutilized. When I convert this information to the developed world, they will say, look at, I don't want to abuse ourselves indirectly, but they will not understand us. Especially when we go to borrow. You have gold, you have copper, you have sulfur, you have cobalt, you have all that. And when you convert it, like if it was explored and you convert it into money, especially to support the export trade, that means Uganda now could be very far. Looking at the land we have, the fertile land, because Uganda is referred as a part of Africa. Your land where you come from, sir, the region, you know very well how when you grow your best crops. Coffee. Matoke.
Yes, Irish potato.
And you also talk about genus, right?
Yes.
And rice.
Other fruits.
And fruits. When you plant, the following day you are able to. And our conviction tonight, as I welcome you, sir, there is here a belief that if we could have a land policy that leads to utilization, to be put under utilization, even rendering, not allowing this absentee landlordism, which where some people they have land. I mean, you have land, but it is owned by people and who are not either utilizing it. Many square miles. The government, we believe, maybe through your committee, will tell us need to do something. You are coming from the climate change, as I come to the conclusion of my preamble. Climate change committee, of where the utilization of land, part of our land which we had the forest reserves which were turned for cultivation, which is a hindrance to the climate. And your area of discussion also, you will give us information kindly of how we merge the three: land use, mineral use, yet we maintain our climate. Sir, it's a pleasure to welcome you, Honorable. It is our desire and our passion to see how we can resolve the dilemma through policy making and your initiatives this evening.
Thank you very much, viewers. I want to take this opportunity to thank the management here for inviting me on this very critical issue. I will start from the history. The scramble for resources by the colonialists started long time ago.
Yes, sir.
And much as some people think it is now over, it is actually continuing. They came to Africa to look for resources, and there was less tension in areas where there are no natural resources, and that trend is still continuing. Areas with natural resources, you see a lot of conflict, wars still continuing. Uganda was a protectorate. Another area which was a protectorate in Africa is Somaliland. Another area which was protectorate in Central West Africa is Cameroon, especially the region of Bamenda. But if you check the three places, Uganda, Bamenda, and Somaliland, Bamenda is still suffering. Bamenda is still at war because these British colonies and then others are under French. But for the case of Somalia, Mogadishu was under the Italian, while Somaliland was under the British. So at one time, that area became the form under President Siad Barre. It became a Somali Republic because they realized that it is one culture, one tradition, one language, and apparently two clans, the clans of Isaac and Ismail in Somalia.
Yes, sir.
Now, later on, because of tension which started as a small community conflict, the war escalated to the extent that Somaliland had to break away from Somalia but not recognize. They struggled together with South Sudan. Up to now, Somaliland is not recognized. Though they have their government, their president, they have parliament, they have their currency. These are challenges brought about by the resources we have. But now when you look at the whole of Africa, for example, what resources do they have? They have water resource, especially the Red Sea, the Gulf of Aden, the Indian Ocean, and if you go ahead, you will see the Suez Canal. Anyone who can control that region, any country that can control that, the places I've mentioned, will control the world. Because all goods from Europe cannot go to Uganda through West Africa, through Cape Town, up here. It must pass through the Suez Canal and come to Mombasa. So, and this is the tension we see up there. In Somaliland and Somalia, and because someone wants to control the world, but through that center point.
Okay, sir.
Now, when it comes to Uganda, we also have a lot of resources. Come to Congo, we have a lot of resources, mineral resources, but most of them are not well developed. That's why we still see conflict up to now, especially in the DRC, in the South Sudan. Now, these untapped resources, how do they come out to make us come out of poverty? While the foreigners, when they come to Uganda, when they come to Congo, South Sudan, for them they see wealth. For us we see poverty. Congo is very rich. If you take Belgium was built from resources. A great percentage of resources came from DRC.
Yes, sir.
But they have no road, they have no hospital up to now. Therefore, these untapped resources, we need a comprehensive plan where all stakeholders must be involved so that these resources can be sustainably managed, sustainably exploited without degrading the environment.
Yes, sir.
Without causing climate change.
Yes, sir.
We have a lot of mineral resources here. We have gold, we have iron ore, we have tea, we have phosphates. There are many, but we are still doing exploration.
In your constituency, in your sub-region, which are...
Right now, the exploration which is going on in Zombo is for nickel and gold.
Okay.
And they are already good prospects.
I can have the business of gold there?
Of course, you have to follow the procedure. You have to follow this procedure.
It's okay.
Now, the first thing we did as Parliament, especially the Committee of Natural Resources.
Yes. For
me, I chair the Committee of Climate Change.
Thank you, sir.
But the Committee of Natural Resources, to which I'm a member, we had to work on the law.
Yes, sir.
We wanted to introduce it in the 10th Parliament. The time was not enough. Now we managed to pass the mining and mineral bill.
Mining and mineral bill.
Yes. This bill now has been passed by Parliament. This is just to provide a legal framework.
Is it presented now?
Not yet. Okay. And we have to verify because it was already sent, but the Parliament passed it. Okay. Now, it was to repeal the mining, the minerals and the mining and minerals bill 2021 is the one which was passed. But once it is signed, it will repeal the Mining Act of 2003 because there were a lot of gaps in that law, in that 2003 law. That's why we had to revise this so that we can have a streamlined mining sector in this country. And it has come with some proposals, which we think if we can address some of those proposals, it can help to address the mining challenges we are facing in the country.
Yes, sir.
And it is estimated, much as we are still exploring, Uganda can raise from iron ore alone.
Iron ore.
Uganda can raise close to 12 trillion shillings.
12 trillion.
12 trillion shillings.
Yeah, just a year.
No, if the iron ore we have, if we are to sell it all, we would raise something like 12 trillion.
12 trillion.
Do you know how much our budget is? This year's budget is 48 trillion. But if we can get 12 trillion from iron ore,
this is quite intelligent.
That's a lot of money. But it has to be done properly. It has to be streamlined. But if you get a group doing mining without raising any revenue to government, then how are we going to raise the 12 trillion from iron ore? So that's why we had to make the law and to repeal the 2003 Act so that it can stop the challenges which we faced.
Okay.
There was the issue of understaffing, underfunding, issues of corruption. All those are being addressed by this. And then there is a big consideration. These small-scale miners, like the artisanal miners, how do we treat them? This law now is provided for them. There used to be a license called location license. Now we have transformed that one into what they call the small-scale mining, to cater for these small-scale miners, so that if they are in group, they can also get a license. Why should these small ones be left out? But it has to be done properly.
Protect them.
Yes, to protect them, but also to make the management, the whole operation under control. Otherwise, it may have adverse effect on the environment. It may bring a lot of conflict among the people.
Yes, sir.
Therefore, to me, if we can develop the mining sector, we will not be looking for loans. We have overborrowed money here, and we have resources here. The money to develop Uganda, if possible, must come from Uganda. But for this money to come out, there are certain factors that must be addressed. And we can raise this money through selling what we have. And what we have is minerals. We have minerals. Why don't we sell the minerals to raise money we need so that we don't overborrow?
Yes, sir.
High interest loans. So this is really my position, that we can raise money through exploitation of our minerals in an organized way.
I do appreciate your submission and giving us the insight of especially the legal framework referring to the Mineral Bill of 222 and also giving us reliable information on what would have acquired if we were using our mineral resource, like you gave us the reference of iron ore.
Yes.
And maybe the viewers are still interested to hear from you, especially when I was still a student.
Yes.
And the geography, when the geography paper which we used to attend to, talking about the minerals and so forth, so copper mining at Chilembe. Even now, even if I must say copper is mined where? Chilembe. What led to the collapse of copper at Chilembe? Because when we are dealing with resolving the dilemma of unutilized natural resources, to the best of my knowledge, we are supposed to also look at the revival of some of the mineral resource that was at a certain time under use, and then finally there came a collapse. Because I do experience and state that as we used to have copper mining and smelting at Chilembe mines, and the products out of copper. If those products are no longer coming from there, sir, that means we go for export. Import rather. And the moment we go for import, that means that we continue to cause our weak shilling to go into circulation. Even those who are now in business, people need to understand why we bring this discussion. Because some may say, me, I'm not a trader in minerals, I don't have land, I don't care. But on the way, I want to show you the foundational pillars of the economy. And these foundational pillars of the economy, they don't leave out land, as a factor of production, and natural mineral resource. Because out of mineral resource, it is a wealth generating factor. So now, what exactly happened? Maybe at the parliamentary level, or in your wisdom and information, you have members, I mean the viewers, they need to know what has caused this. Number one. Then on the issue of oil, we also as citizens, may I come on behalf of the citizen, the voice I raise, some will send you a message on Twitter. They ask, it has taken time for oil to realize the profit of oil. Some even going to say, if we had explored to this oil resource and petroleum, that's petroleum mineral resource, would not be suffering with maybe these hiked prices for what? For fuel.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Thank you very much.
Yes, sir.
Yes, I remember from my geography.
Yes, sir.
We really talked about copper mining in Kilembe. Yeah, it is true. Copper was the only mineral we knew about at that time. But right now, I'm telling you, we have identified so many other mineral resources which we have, and if they can be exploited, it can help to boost the economy of Uganda. All the information why Kilembe mine collapsed, but of course these resources sometimes they get overexploited. Once they are overexploited, and then there is no way you are going to say we still continue with the mine when the minerals are not there, when they are exhausted. Even the same with oil. Oil can get exhausted. So most of these minerals can get exhausted. Therefore, the Kilembe mine had many factors. Of course, there were issues like the conflict, the wars, and so on. That came also interrupted. But I've already mentioned to you, even there were other challenges of resources to even do value addition at that time. There are basic factors that must be in place for even that mineral to give us good money. Things like electricity. If you look at electricity, without electricity, how are you going to do value addition? And then, of course, conflicts can interrupt any economic activity, and you know what we went through. So actually, exhaustion, the issue of conflict, the issue of resources to do value addition, and then the adequate infrastructures were not in place. Like, were we able to stream, smelt. Yes, we had a smelting plant, but new things came in, like emerging issues came in, like many countries will not buy your minerals today. Many countries will not buy your minerals unless you have addressed the issue of traceability. What about the possibility of the government to add value on what we are now filing? Of course, the exploration, that's one step. And turning the export mineral resource into now productive good product, which we import sometimes. Yes, that's why I'm saying there are basic factors that must be in place for us to do that. One is electricity. Yes. You must have. And now we have enough electricity. At least you are my witness. I will talk about electricity. Thank you. You need a strong, reliable, and cheap electricity. Without that, you cannot talk about industrialization. You can never. Without electricity, you cannot talk about industrialization. That's why I still encourage Uganda to expand our electricity. We can build more dams, but we don't want to build dams where there is dim power. We don't want to build dams where electricity is generated and we cannot use it. There is no line taking it out, and yet we are paying for the generation. But we still need much more electricity. What they are talking about excess electricity. Yes, some people I think some people are deceiving the president when they talk about excess. We are having much more not utilized. Definitely we are paid for it. I will definitely have unutilized electricity generated if I'm not connected.
Yeah,
Let us connect all the people in the rural area.
That's right.
All our industries.
At an affordable price.
Yeah, I say strong, reliable, and low cost.
Low cost.
Now, let us connect all these people than just leaving the poles there. Let us connect the people. Let us evacuate the electricity from the generation. Transmission should take it out to the people. And then we see whether we still have excess electricity in this country. Let us put 4 heavy industries like those ones in Thailand and other countries. And let us see whether after that we shall still have excess electricity. So for me, I still feel we should expand our electricity generation because, but there should be coordination. When you generate, you must evacuate, you must transmit, and you must distribute to the people, and you must connect the people. That's the only way. Now, the issue, electricity is a challenge. If you don't do that, we cannot talk about industrialization.
That's right.
We cannot talk about mining industry without electricity. Then, of course, even these mining resources, they need to go to the market. To go to the market, you must address the question of transport. How do they leave the factory now, or the industry, the factory to go to the market? Yes. You need good road, you need good rail system. And as you can see, these heavy goods need to go by rail. It is really very expensive, both for the planet, both for the climate and the economy, for us to go with one trailer to Mombasa and line maybe 100 of them from Mombasa to bring for us goods here. When actually we can, if we develop our railway system, it will be very easy to bring all those goods to Kampala cheaply. These vehicles that are moving, they are burning fuel. They are even causing more climate change.
Yes, sir.
So that's a real challenge. Other costs are there which we don't calculate when we import. For example, if we talk about Uganda importing, let me give a live example.
Yes, sir.
Uganda right now is spending $3 million to import cooking oil.
To import cooking oil.
Cooking oil.
$3 million.
No, so $300 million. Yes, $300 million to import cooking oil. Now you can imagine if a fertile area like Uganda, we have not developed our industry or our factory for cooking oil. This is a big challenge.
And that is out of Simusimu.
Now, so yes, sunflower and so on. We are growing this, but
palm oil.
Why is it not developed? So those are the issues we should be looking at, so that we do import substitution. Even when you say you have spent maybe $3 million, even if you have spent $3 million on import, you have not calculated the cost to the environment. If you add the cost to the environment, the fuel you are burning, the transportation and so on, it can even go to $5 to $6 million when you have actually imported something worth $3 million. So we really need to reduce on imports, and the only way we can reduce on import is to develop our industrial sector. And in order to develop the industrial sector, we must address the question of transport and electricity, or energy in general. We must have enough energy, strong enough to develop our industrial sector. We must have transport so that the goods can reach the market. But above all, we must double production in those areas. For us in the middle sector, the only way you can double production is to do more exploration so that you can discover more mineral resources, so that you can do some value addition and they can reach the market. That is the only way you can save. So why would you export something maybe worth $2 million and your import of the same from another part of the world is $2.5 million? That's not a good, that's not good for the economy. So let us try to develop our energy sector, our industrial sector, our transport system. So, and then the agro-based industries also, we need to double production in agriculture if we are to have agro-based industries. If you look at the Paris Development Model, we are talking about agro-industrialization. I talked about this the other time. So the agro-based sector, because the two areas of industrialization especially in Uganda here, will be in the area of minerals and agriculture. Those ones are key. Now, for the agricultural sector, which is employing more people for now, we must also double production in agriculture if we are to have enough raw materials that can supply our industries. We don't want to put a factory here and it closes down because there is not enough raw materials. Now, for us to double that production in agriculture, we need to address some of the challenges like sustainable land management, the issues of post-harvest losses. We need to control that. The issue of the issue of irrigation. We need to also double production through agriculture, in agriculture through irrigation, so that the two sectors of agriculture and mining can be able to power our industrialization initiative here in Uganda. So those are the issues. Now let me come to the second part of the oil.
In 1 minute, then we'll go for a break.
This petroleum we are talking about,
you're exhausted,
is estimated to be only 6.5 billion barrels. The oil we have.
So what we will do, I appreciate
I can
we will bring that in the second session. But I want to appreciate you so much.
Yes.
You're educating me on when you see me writing and not interrupting you. It's because I'm seeing you are informing. And you are even re-energizing, the stakeholders. Yes. I believe they will appreciate your submission. They are very much important. I do say this in a point of view as a public policy analyst, and looking at the valuable submissions. Stay on Smart 24 TV. We are with Honorable Songa Lawrence, and it's a pleasure to be with you. Let's continue in the second session.